Hey friends, Sarah here. So have you ever tried to take control of something that's just out of your control? Like several of my videos talk about this, but one in particular thing is trying to control my children's response. And it was explained to me recently by my husband, and a great insight into how I parent, that I have a tendency of treating them like adults. Like I speak to them as though they were adults, and that they have the capacity of what an adult may have, and therefore my expectations of them are so much higher than they ought to be. Their capacity, their capability of processing certain things aren't exactly the greatest. They're just kids, and so their processing is a little bit different than my processing. And while it seems no-brainer to me, it might be for most adults, but it's not for all kids. And so I guess my encouragement to you today, to be you, to be the best you, is just to remember that you can't control certain things. They're having a total fit right now, so if you excuse me, my husband's working. So guys, hey. Hey, Josie, I don't want you to be snotty.
Oh, we need privacy.
Okay, listen.
We need privacy.
Can you come out, please? She can stay and
No,
watch.
Mom, she's not fair for the boys. That's not fair for them.
Dad is on the phone.
That's not fair for them.
Come on, Dad's on the phone. Dad's on the phone, honey. You have to be quiet. Dad is on the phone. Come here, you can hang out with me. Come here, hang out with me. Mom, hang out with me. Aaliyah. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, come on. I don't want to drag you on the carpet, honey. Okay. See, this is one of those situations where I really want to take control. And I mean, obviously they're not adults, right? They're not adults. And I couldn't have planned this better, so you can actually see what I'm talking about, right? Like, you can see what I'm talking about. Like, obviously, I have very little patience for that. But how could I regard them as adults when they're not? They're not even close. They don't have that same mind capacity as we do, and not all adults have the same capacity that I'm talking about. But for me to appeal to them, I think I should probably meet them where they are, right? I've talked about that too. I think that I need to remember that they are just kids. And no, Lily, you need to stay here, baby. I would like you to stay here and hang out with me. Oh, I think it's in the bonus room, right? So when I have these expectations, what comes around that expectation is frustration. I've talked about expectations too, and I've also talked about how frustration for me wells up anger inside of me. And so when you can't control a situation, what good is it to try, number one, but maybe to try to understand and empathize maybe a little bit? Hi. I love you. I love you. Because nothing's going to change. It doesn't matter if you grit your teeth or you give the grimace. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to change. And so a friend of mine I talked to on the phone today, she has a wealth of knowledge, a counselor at a school, and she explained to me too that when I try to take control of their response or how they manage their emotions, I'm taking that out of their hands. Right? They're going to be really, really pathetic adults someday when they're out of my house if I'm doing it all for them, if I'm controlling the situation for them. So what she suggested is that we figure out what their triggers are, how they get to that spot, and how do they correct it? How do they get out of it? Maybe they need to excuse themselves, go for a bike ride, or they need to go to their room because they know what the consequence is and they need to sort through it on their own. It's not something that I have to do myself. I have the tendency of wanting to, right? Just like I was saying to someone on Instagram today about the kids wanting to help with chores around the house. It would be so much easier if I just did it because it gets done that way and it gets done right. But what good am I for my kids when I do that? What am I teaching my kids when I do that? I'm teaching them, well, first of all, how not to take care of themselves or how to take care of the place they live, right? I'm also telling them that they're not good enough. I'm also telling them that they don't do it right. So all of these things, it's a big old cluster in my mind, and it's a lot to process, but all at the same time, like, it was a good word, both from my husband and my friend, and I hope to implement it right away. It's not going to be easy because we're talking about what my tendency is, and so to pattern interrupt and change that mindset, and it's going to be hard. I mean, this was nothing, you guys. What you saw today, or I guess heard today, was nothing compared to what I deal with on most of the day from day to day. So I'm sure I have a lot to do with that, though, because I'm a very high intensity person, and so I probably created a high intensity response in my own children. But I want to help them manage their emotions by managing my own emotions and trying not to take control. So, and to also remember that they're just kids. So I don't know who was supposed to hear that today, but if it was you, I hope it brought you encouragement. Since there's just one me, I want to be the best me. I want to be the best mom I can be. And since there's just one you, I want you to be the best you too. And so hopefully this was an encouragement to you. Maybe it encourages a friend of yours. Maybe you want to tag them in it if it's something you think that they need to hear. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and share. And we will check you tomorrow.